right, folks, we're waiting for some people to come on here. I may do one more cup of coffee and breakfast. So we'll wait to see who comes on here. We getting notifications? No notifications. You're roboting. Okay. All right. Maybe it'll come in later. Let me see if I get it on my. Good morning, Joe. Let's see if it comes through here. Did you get a notification?
I should have, because I've got it set.
So YouTube's been playing games on getting out the notifications. Still don't have a notification here. Good morning, Husky Mom. Did you get a notification? So just finished breakfast and getting ready to do some things here, and I'm going to go over what the plan is. Husky Mom did get notification. Okay, we got a whole bunch of people aren't getting notifications. So Texas girl, good morning. How are you? Right, did you get a notification? No, that's not the notification. That's just said it's live. It'd be a badge at the top of the screen that comes. Okay. All right, so that one's good. All right. Good. So we've got a couple of people here. It'd be nice if I had a few more people, but I'll bring this down so I don't have to look straight up. Notification check. Good morning, love in Texas. All right, thank you, Texas girl. I appreciate that. So I'm going to officially say that castor oil is a miracle oil. Okay. I woke up this morning after having my compress with castor oil, and outside of a darker redness around where the sisters were, it's like a callus. So we're getting ready to rock and roll. And so the plan today is we're going to get laundry done. We're going to top off the tanks. We're going to top off the water tanks. We already have plenty of propane. And
Grab a couple things at Ace.
Grab a couple of things at Ace Hardware. Tried to find my power pack. Don't know what happened to that yesterday. And then later this evening, just before the sun goes down, we're going to go back to Salt Wells where I had left off the walk. And then at about 3:30 in the morning, we will start the walk over from that point. We will start walking from there. And Mr. T is in the house. Let's see, Utopian. Everyone knows that I'm on this walk. I'm not in DC. And to just make a comment, everybody that is there wants the same thing. I believe there's a different way of achieving the goal. I have a laser focus with a determination to end the state of emergency. By doing so begins the healing of our Constitution. If you do not get rid of that state of emergency, it is all for naught. The state of emergency must be rescinded. Verbiage must be put into a bill passed by the House, passed by the Senate, and the resident to never utilize the 1976 Act in this manner ever again. They're using it as the foundation, they're using the Declaration, not the Act, but the Declaration, to subvert our Constitution. That has to end. So, I'm sorry, it may offend a lot of people, but I do not believe that there is any type of an objective other than to return our country to a constitutional republic. Where's the meat? Where's the beef? Return our country to a constitutional republic. I want that. Don't get me wrong. I want that. But please explain to me how we're going to return our country to a constitutional republic without completely replacing the government that currently resides in it. I just don't see it. What's the strategy? What's the techniques? What are you going to do? And more importantly, do you have the people to do it? Because any government that has fallen anywhere in the world, has fallen at the feet of the people. So there needs to be objectives, not just a broad brush that says we're going to restore the constitutional republic. I would like to see that too. But if you're served an elephant and you're told to eat it, you can't eat the entire elephant at one time. It's one bite at a time. So let's not, in my opinion, let's not waste our time and our effort doing something that is not moving the needle. It's patriotic, hoorah, rah, hoorah, rah. We're going to get out of here. We're going to do it now. Tortoise and hare. Tortoise and hare. Just as much as anyone else, I want to see the constitutional republic restored. But you're not going to do it by just saying we're going to restore the constitutional republic. You have to have definition. If you don't have definition, UT, if you don't have strategy, and you don't have the backing of the people, known backing of the people, you don't have power. My walk, I hope to achieve the power by bringing the people. To restore the Constitution, you start with one item, one step. And since February 23rd, I have always stated ending the state of emergency, having verbiage within it that says that it can never be done, the state of emergency can never be initiated again using the 1976 Emergency Powers Act, or the Emergency Act, I should say. In this manner, again, it's being abused. And I've said it many times. This declaration for the state of emergency, the declaration is in fact being abused. It's getting money into people's pockets. Giving all of these people, these killbots, they, them, the power to subvert us, our Constitution. Okay, thank you. Everybody's starting to throw money at me, and I'm like, I'm trying to think. But I am going to get one more cup of coffee.
Hi, everybody.
It's Mr. T.
I'm gonna go out and take Abby for a quick walk, have a smoke. Just wanted to say hi. Love y'all. Thanks for joining.
I'm gonna try and get her attention to one more cup of coffee. Thanks. So, I just saw no, those are not pronouns in the people sense, those are the pronouns. They, killbox, meaning the deep state, meaning the people who are doing this to us. Okay, Carolyn, do what you want, say what you want. Eyes on you. You don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know my determination. So, have a nice day. People are what it takes to set in check any controlling government. You must have people. If you don't have people, you don't have power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, I already do it. I talk to people no honey, just this one. Good morning, Joan. Yeah, that was a troll. Yeah, eating the junk. Yeah, they don't know what I'm eating. These people. See, if you're not getting the flack, you're not over the target. So they want to try and find the chink in my armor. So, like I said, we're gonna do this starting tomorrow. There are 30 people in DC, and 30,000 wouldn't be enough. Love in Texas. 3 million, maybe. Okay. So let me just do the numbers here. I've done it many times on my streams before. If there's 335 million people in the United States of America, and if I go to the Alphabet Soup Media polls, there's 70% of Americans. I don't care if they're left, right, or up the middle. I don't care. Americans that are upset with the way the country is being run today. That's 235 million people. If I were able to get to 10% of those that are upset, that would be 23.5 million people. If I could get just 1% of them, of the 235 million, that's 2.35 million people. So give me 3 million. When I get to DC, I hope that I have so many people that we will take over the roads going into DC. But it's not just DC. A lot of people believe that our voice can only be heard if we're in DC. That's not true. That's not true. Our voices are heard through the 10th Amendment at the states. You put the pressure on the state's politicians, on the state assembly members, on the state senators. You put the pressure on Washington by default. So that's where we go. We start hitting the states. We start with like USLA is doing, rallying on the state houses. Get to the state houses. Start protesting. Start calling your state assembly. Start calling your state senators. And then follow it up with calls to your federal representatives. We already have a bill that's passed that would fix the one objective that I am looking at. Thanks. That would fix the objective that I'm looking at doing. Okay. The senators have already passed 48 to 47, SJ Res 38 in the Senate. That ends the state of emergency and has language in the bill so that the future states of emergency cannot be the way that this one has been for the last 2 years, 2+ years. So the focus needs to be, I mean, it's all well and good to say I want to restore the constitutional republic, but if you don't spell it out, that's a big, broad brush. I want to restore the constitutional republic. I've been hearing that. That's the goal. Wow, that's a hefty lift. You're not going to get that hefty lift. You have no focus, no strategy for a specific focus. What are you going to do? Go in and remove the tyrants. Where's the logic in that? Where's the strategy in that? I'm just saying, everybody, including me, wants to see that. I'm just saying there's no strategy for it. There's just no strategy for it. So what I'm telling you is this. Take the path of the hare and you get nothing. Take the path of the tortoise, you get something. You have no choice but to get people's attention. You have no choice but people coming out and saying, what can I do? Right now, coming across America already, and I haven't even left the state of Nevada yet, people are saying, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I'm upset and I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. I tell them, get ready, pick up the phone, slam them. There's only one thing besides the money from a donor that gets a politician's attention. The people get the politician's attention. And that's where we have to put our pressure. When there's more people, there's more pressure. So, I want to see this get to the point to where we take over the streets and protest and walk. We take over the streets in the name of protest. And we get the attention. We get so many people that they can no longer ignore us. And we have an objective. Yeah, I want that constitutional republic restoration, but you cannot start that without an objective. Get rid of the state of emergency. That's number one. Hold those who abused it accountable for their actions. That's number two. That's never changed. You can go back on every single one of my live streams all the way back to the beginning of February, and you will find that I've never wavered from that. End that state of emergency. Okay? I've been there. I have spoken to senators that agree that it is the people. I specifically sat there in the Capitol on March 8th in front of 5 congressmen, and I spoke to Sam Graves, Congressman Sam Graves, specifically, and said, then you're telling me that the only way that we can do this is for me to go back to those people that were on those overpasses and have them all join me? And he said, yes. That's it. So, trust me, that's why this has to happen this way. In my mind, and when I've got that man saying, Ron, you've got it, continue doing what you're doing, and you will be victorious. When I have that man telling me that, then I know I'm on the right track. Doesn't matter what you think of him. the vindication is what I speak to. Sam Graves, Ted Cruz, Ron Johnson, all of them that I met that day, that I met in the Capitol with, they all said the same thing. So, yes, it was a great meeting, and they were very receptive to the practice and the objective. The first thing they ask you is, what do you hope to achieve with this protest? It's the first thing they ask. If I were to reply, I want to restore the constitutional republic, okay, that can be a list of 100,000 things. Can you pick one? So that's I think I'm reading it on Tom. No, the link is for you, Tom. I think you're listening to that. Is your name altogether 007 at gmail.com. That's how it's listed on paper. Anyway. So, focus. We need the people. You need to share. You need to get more people involved. And that's what keeps going through my head in my conversations with Sam Graves when I was on Capitol Hill. We said to him, you mean to tell us that we, the truck drivers, have more power than you, Congressman? And he said, yes. And I told him, I said, so what you're saying is that I need to go back to those many people that didn't know that we were coming across the country by listening to the alphabet soup media. I need to go back and touch them on the shoulder and tell them to follow me and come with me to put the pressure on DC. Is that what you're telling me? And he said, yes. So again, laser focus. Find the one that's hurting us the most right now. What's causing all the money spending? What's causing all of the people to lose their jobs? What's causing active duty military from being discharged because they don't want to take the jab? What's the cause, the root cause analysis, okay, the RCA to all this? The foundation of it all is the state of emergency. All of it. So you've got that foundation that they poured this foundation, the state of emergency equals that. And each floor is another grievance that they're using that for, including money, lots of big money being fed to all types, including big pharma. You destroy that foundation and the building collapses in on itself. And those that were trying to build the building become exposed. When they become exposed, then the accountability begins. So, don't be fooled. Walking down the mall today with 30 people is not going to bring 3 million people. It's not going to bring action against those that did this to us. I agree with them. I disagree with the strategy. Let's be very clear about that. Those people are like family to me. I spent many weeks with them on the road. I disagree, not with what they want. I only disagree with the actions taken. Be patient and go with the tortoise, not the hare method. Have a purposeful, absolute target. Aim at that target, which is your one clear objective. Because now you have something to go after. It's not so broad that you cannot put a target on it. So I got off on one there. Lot to do today. Do the laundry, get everything ready. My first leg out after leaving the salt wells is 11.7 miles before I started 2,700 foot elevation climb. I'll climb up to the top of that mountain the second day. So that'll be on, let's see, day 11, day 12. Start to climb that mountain. Sasha, get out. If you seriously do not know what rights I have lost, you're nothing but a troll. The facts are the facts. Why don't you go talk to the thousands and thousands of people who lost their jobs because they lost their right to choice? So, bye. We don't need trolls like you in here. Freedom of choice is the first thing lost. You take little tidbits, little pieces away. And you may be happy with that. You may be happy with collecting a welfare check and believing that the government is your savior. Have at it. They're not my savior, because a republic's definition is that people running the government, not the other way around. So that stupid comment you just made shows that you're an ignorant ass. That's what that shows. And you're non-constitutional. And if you don't like my flag and you don't like my constitution, get the hell out of my country. I'll pay for your damn ticket to Venezuela. Don't need people like you. People like you are what's causing the problem that we have. It's point blank, that simple. Now, if you're truly just ignorant, I'll teach you. I'll teach you. But I won't put up with your crap. I'll put up with ignorance if you truly want to learn. Too many people have died. 674,000 people died in our civil war alone. On this country, on this soil. Okay? So that's the key. Why am I sacrificing my body, my time, everything I own to walk across this country? I love this country. I love the Constitution. I love America. And everything that it is about organically. And I want people to come and ask me questions. Vets, VFWs, you name it. Come on out. Walk for a mile or walk for a while. Find a shuttling service that we can utilize that takes you between Walk Point and a mile up the road. Somebody that you can just come out and walk with me for 100 yards. Pass the word. Let your people know. Everybody knows 10 people. Start talking. We don't have much time. We have till November to show them who they work for. And a lot are already going through early vote right now. Thank you. So Scott, I'm currently in Fallon, Nevada, and I had a really nasty set 5 blisters on my foot. I was trying to power through it, and the last 16 miles. Oh, by the way, GWT 333. I allowed your email to register over on Patriot Roster. You can try that again. Let me know if it doesn't work. I have some seriously heavy duty things that happen on that site, so I've got a real tight software running. So repetitive numbers and things like that, i.e. your email address, will get shut down. But I did put that in as an allowed email, so it should allow you now to register. So let me know if that doesn't work. So back on it. I did the 16.5 miles, got out to Salt Wells. Didn't, I had pain walking, but I just kind of put it aside. Got out to Salt Wells, which was my finishing point for the day, and took a nap. And when I woke up from the nap, I was nagging. My foot felt like it was that big around. I'm just trying to think. I'm just gonna go back here and see what. It's interesting how people want to attribute another person's motive to a particular belief or not. I'm not going to try to satisfy somebody's craving for that, because honestly, who you walk with is here. I don't know and I don't care. Yes, Scott, I've got so many different things. Yeah, it's Thomas Roth. It's spelled Roths, but it's pronounced Rhodes. Thomas Roth 007 at gmail.com is the PayPal address. But I have Epsom salts, and I'm going to just tell you, castor oil, man. I read that up on a homeopathic site the other day. 2.5 days of using cotton balls soaked in castor oil. Primo. Thank you, Sherry. What difference would it make? So, in any case, okay, Thomas. Mr. T. So, we get back to the bottom line. We need the people. We need the people. We need to grow the people. We need to educate the people, disseminate information, get as many people to understand that. Come out and join us on the line. Yes, Scott, believe it or not, you soak, like this would be the metatarsal, right here on, this would be your big toe, metatarsal, and right in here was where the blister started, and then it started progressing to size, and then it wound up going between the toes here, and then wound up with 5 blisters surrounding it. And I posted some pictures up in the community yesterday. But soaking the cotton balls with castor oil, setting them across the whole area, and then KT tape up and around it to hold it, and then I put a sock on it and go overnight. Voila. Miracle. So, between that and lidocaine ointment, rubbing the lidocaine ointment all around it before doing a castor oil compress, absolutely did a number. So see what you can do to bring people out to the walk line. We've got from tomorrow at Salt Wells to Austin, Nevada is approximately 95 miles. A very good question, Sheriff. I started out wearing compression socks. The same article that I read about the castor oil explained the whole theory of how a blister forms too, and friction. Now, see, friction to me meant that when you got two things rubbing together, meaning the surface of the skin, right? The surface of the skin rubbing against my shoe with a sock in between it, for instance. And then, okay, that's creating friction. Maybe that's the problem. But in this article that I had read, the friction had actually meant yeah. So it's the actual friction of the skin on the other side of it, where it comes to, at the epidermis, to the actual metatarsal, for instance. And it starts rubbing internally, and that friction that's the friction they speak to, that then causes the blister. Now, what promotes it is what is between the skin and the surface of whatever it is. And if it's an elastic type of material, that promotes that friction. And so what I wound up is learning is that you've got to have a wicking type of material, like in this case, a cotton wool blend sock. Not only is the weave different so that it is going with the friction, if you will, but it's also wicking the moisture away, the heat away. Whereas a nylon-based or polymer-based or rayon, whatever it is, whatever this other material is that's not designed for the walking shoe, like a compression sock, for instance, that promotes the friction. So now my brother has got me some cotton wool blend blister resistant socks that I'll be utilizing. So thank you, GWT. And hope I'm not tracking yet because I haven't started walking yet. Black smoke matters, you're right. No, the key right now is grow externally. Put the pressure on externally from that district zone. That district zone is nothing. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's squash. It's squat. Going there is strictly a symbolistic item. That's it. Doesn't make any change. The change comes when you finally get there. You've already started the pressure at the pressure pot outside of it, and then you move it to that point. You just don't go there and grow it like some kind of a mushroom experiment. You have to start externally and take it there. MLK did the same thing. MLK visited all these states, got everybody up, and then boom, went into DC with his million man. The power didn't come from going in with a million man march. Power came from the external forces that he created. So it's the similar thing. It's the same thing. So what we do is we educate the individuals in this country along the way and outside of my reach. I'm going to be on a specific route, but there's people all over this country that I'd love to be able to talk to. I'd love to be able to communicate with, but I can't be everywhere at once. That's why this live stream is so important. The ability to talk to the people and have them see other people coming in and joining in. We had another support vehicle join up here today, so we now have 2 support vehicles. We have Nurse D has joined us. She is actually in the second support vehicle with a trailer. We're going to hang a sign on the back. In fact, Mr. T and her are back moving 40 cases of water from the back of her pickup and into the trailer to level some things out. We'll hang a sign on the back of her trailer, and so we've got the nurses on site. We're ready for people now. Bring people. Bring people. If you want to do some camping, do some camping. We got about 5 or 6 days of desert to go across. So bring the people, come on in. Like I said, even if it's just 100 yards, if you got somebody that can come in, drop you off to walk, even if it's just 100 yards, and say, hey, I walked with GreyWolf for this reason. And then you're back there. You don't have to walk the whole walk. Just walk some of it, a portion of it, a tiny bit of it, whatever you can do. And bring your voice to the table. Thank you, Ed Lane. Bring your voice to the table, and let's get everyone's many voices to be heard as a singular voice when we do have the growth, when we do have the streets to where the streets are ours to walk, where we don't have to walk along the side because there's just so many people, that we start using our First Amendment rights to protest, peaceful assembly, walking down the streets. Not blocking traffic purposely. They'll just have to deviate around the people. Because we're not that way. We're not trying to block people off from getting to work just because. That's not the movement. That's not the key. That's not what we're looking to do. What I'm looking to do is to educate. What I'm looking to do is bring people in on what civics says. What I'm looking to do is to raise the awareness of the people across this country of what it is that each and every person needs to do to lay pressure on the government, whether it be local, state, or federal government. That's what we're going to be doing. And with that, I think we'll well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. I just got that notification. Of course, I just opened it up, so. Yeah, so. Hope. I haven't updated it. I will turn the tracker on tomorrow morning before I step out of the RV. Then it'll start updating again. It's not going to do anything now. You have to wait until tomorrow. Then it'll be up. Hi, Leonard. Julie G, can't wait to see you out here. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. What's this? Hold on. Levin, Texas. The National Emergencies Act of 1976 is not what we're trying to end. What they're doing is they're using that act from 1976 as the prop to do the emergency declaration, not the act, the declaration. The last one was signed on February 18th by the resident. Leonard, I know that you're not a troll, but please don't ask questions like that. I'm not going to comment on those. So the declaration is what we're after, because that's a declaration that was put into place as state of emergency for COVID-19 related items. It is unconstitutional. They are subverting Article 3 of the Constitution with that. You can have somebody step on your Fifth Amendment rights, you can even hire a lawyer. That is the problem with that state of emergency. But it is using the Act from 1976 as a basis to be created. So we need to end the state of emergency declaration and then have the verbiage of which Senators Cruz, Mike Lee, Ron Johnson, and others have co-authored and passed in the Senate already. It's stuck on the House floor. So we need to get a petition to be able to pull it away. We need 218 votes in the House to create the petition, pull it away from the committee it's stuck in purposely, move it past Pelosi, get it to the floor for a vote. We get that up on floor. If you get 218, they're going to pull for the petition. You know you're going to passage. You're going to have passage. It passes the House, goes to the resident. Resident vetoes it. Now we're going back after the Senate to do an override, to overrule the veto. That's the key. That's what we need to do. We need the people to put the pressure on the representatives. Point blank. Leonard, I could talk to you offline. I can tell you, I was very proud to be part of, and let me leave this little tidbit with you. Do not be premature in decisions. I was very proud to be the TPC. There are a lot of rumors about conspiracy. There are a lot of rumors about theft. They are rumors. Be patient. When all is told, those who made the claims are going to go up in flames. Okay? You can trust those who have longevity. My problem with what's going on in DC is I do not agree with the strategy. Many of those people I love dearly. They're family to me now. Strategy. And I've always said it. I've never once wavered in what strategy needed to be. You need focus. You cannot go in with a broad brush of 50,000 different grievances and say we're going to replace you because of. You have to have specifics. That's GWT, that's why it has to have verbiage. The verbiage is there. What the senators put in the SJ Res 38 is the verbiage that keeps any future emergency declaration from being able to be used in this manner. That's why we have to get rid of the declaration. But without the 1976 emergencies, we wouldn't be able to send money to an emergency, to a true earthquake zone, to a hurricane zone, to whatever. You've got to be looking at the Constitution. Article 1 of the Constitution states that all monies are handled by Congress. If you go to the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, it devastated. They had to call in Congress. There you go, Leonard. Go where your heart tells you to go, buddy. Just be patient. That's all I ask. The answers in all of that will come forth, and you will like what you see at that point. That's all I can tell you. Now, back on the 1970 on the emergencies. 1906 San Francisco earthquake was more devastating because of the fact that Article 1 powers meant that Congress had to be in session, brought in approved monies to go out to an emergency. I'll get to that, Hope. So, acts were created, ways were created to be able to have a funding ability that would not be so lagging in time when an emergency was had. So you don't have to go to Congress now for this purse for an emergency. So the Emergencies Act is needed in that way, so that any true emergency, monies can move quickly, support can move quickly into an emergency area, okay, to help Americans out. When that act is being abused by way of this declaration, that's where we have to take a stand. The declaration itself is the problem, because it is for a process and using an emergency act that just simply had a loophole of not being able to be defined in time and manner. So the declaration is the problem. I would think that they would join me at that point. So that's the key. That's the key. We need to get the emergency declaration rescinded. We need the verbiage of SJ Res 38 to actually be presented so that no resident or president in the future can invoke an emergency declaration that says, it doesn't have an expiration date. Allows me to take all this money. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you offline there, Tom. I can take it up here, buddy. So that's the key. That's the key, people. That's my one objective, to teach people about our constitutional healing. The constitutional healing starts with getting rid of the state of emergency. Get rid of that state of emergency, then the accountability can start. Making that building collapse in without the foundation exposes those tyrants that built it. And the key is, if you look at World War II and the accountability of the regime, Hitler's regime, it took decades to bring them to be accountable. But their exposure was instant. So exposure is what we need. Once you've exposed a tyrant, you can take some time to bring the accountability. Exposure is more important. Okay? So, here we go. ahead and let this close out. Got things to do to get ready for walkout tomorrow, and some software to put around on different phones for tracking, so you guys can see how many calories burned and all that good stuff. So on a personal note, to answer your question, Hope, the foot is doing wonderful, and the blister part is now gone, and it's now that castor oil has turned it into almost a complete so the complete tough skin top over it. And by the way, SJ Res 38's1. I need to contact the Chief of Staff of Ron Johnson, make sure that I get, there is a couple of different bills, but the one is major that I need to get to what the bill was. Once this year's over, those bills go, because the 117th Congress. Bye. So let's make this happen. Let's get it out there. Let's get as many people as we can to understand that patience is a virtue here. We want our country back, but we don't want it back at a point. We don't want to have to see people suffer. We need to do this peacefully, and it takes people. No matter what the movement is, it takes people. It takes strategy, exposure. So let's work on that. Let's get people out. Yeah, and what I'm going to do also on walking, I'm going to keep a very close eye during my breaks to make sure that I'm not causing more issue. And if I get to that point, I will pause the break or the walk in the RV and treat that so that I'm not continuing to do like I did on that last day, where I just literally expanded it from a little blister to a woof. So slump draws, it looks to be around the middle of November. I'm working on endurance right now. The endurance is important, but right now my average is way too low to comment on exactly when. I want to get my average up to between 22 and 28 miles per day, let's say. Right now my average was, until I stopped, was right around 13. But endurance will come up, miles will come up, weight will go down, things of that nature. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, JM. That's right. This is my training phase. This is the get my body ready for the bigger, heavier lifts that are going to be required by the time I get to the Rocky Mountains. That's a heavy lift. So by the time I get up there, we'll be able to handle the 22 to 28 per day and 2,800 miles. By the way, James Top up in California, Canada, is going to, on the 18th of the month, July 18th, he's going to start walking out of Ottawa and heading to Finland. He's going to finish the Canadian walk. It's going to be only the second person in history to walk completely across Canada. So that's going to be something to keep your eyes out too. Same reasons, by the way, but for Canada. So there's a lot of people that are walking, but they're walking for smaller causes and smaller miles. I'm not going to poo-poo that idea. They've got their thing. I have put messages out to James. I have not yet received a response. So we're doing what we can. We're on the learning curve. We want things. Support vehicles was a big thing for me. being able to know that I'm ready for the desert, because once I leave here tomorrow morning, it's desert. It's 5, maybe 6 days of desert. So that's the key. And it's not only, it's high desert, so there's mountains and valleys, and we're going to deal with that. Thank you, Super Salty. We're going to deal with that as it comes. I'm just feeling really good about how things are going. I'm still taking it easy. I mean, they're out there busting their butt right now trying to get water moving. I'm still taking it easy. The last thing I need to do is to hurt my feet. The feet are the most important right now. So I thank you all. And yeah, we've got, looks like we've got the GreyWolf Discord link is in there. So we've got that going. I want to thank the Jerry's restaurant here in Fallon. They've got excellent food. I haven't had a bad meal yet that we've been here, because I'm only parked 50 feet behind the restaurant here in the truck parking. So we're going to do the Ace Hardware. You've got to get a different hitch for the second vehicle. We got to get a shovel because we got pop-up potties and showers. So when we're out there, we have 95 miles of desert to traverse, Sherry. Once I get down to Salt Wells, it's about 95 miles of desert. And it is projected to be over 100 degrees across there. So I'll be doing very early morning traverses, and then we'll move there. That's correct, that's true. You've got it. Strategy, strategy, strategy. Don't go in with a broad brush. Go in with a laser point. You're effective when you have objectives. So, resolution before revolution. That's where we are. Yeah, loving Texas. It hit 97 or 98 here yesterday. I think it was just outside of here. It was like 100, 103. So yeah, early morning, tomorrow morning, we'll get on it. We'll get on it. I don't like posting pictures of my feet, by the way. People were asking me for pictures of the blisters. And I know there's probably trolls. Just like, well, prove you got a blister. Some people's children. Anyway, so for the 5th time, love all you. I will talk to you all mañana.